Oh, hello there. I didn't see you there. Welcome to Bitcoin Talk Show. We're joined by Chris Ellis and Blake Anderson, but that's not important right now. What's important right now is that the price of Bitcoin is $652 after spiking all the way to 658 following the very exciting sale of the Silk Road Bitcoins. As I'm sure you've heard by now, venture capitalist Tim Draper was revealed as the winner in every single auction. He bought all 30,000 Bitcoins. And as you can see from this picture here, he's riding a giant rhinoceros. And this Contra music is probably not open source. Litecoin decouples from Bitcoin, and the price slump continues. Watch out, Litecoin. Coinbase announces high-security vault Bitcoin accounts. Maybe this means that the normal Coinbase accounts aren't so secure. Not exactly the thing that I'd be admitting, but apparently they now have wealthy individuals who want to keep their money in a vault. Unlike our friends who lost all of their Bitcoins last week before the vault option was introduced. Oh, how sad. The Winklevi are going to list their ETF on NASDAQ under the coin symbol. It's better than Wink. Bitcoin ads for Beyonce Jay-Z concert go live this week. Okay. Online retail giant Newegg now accepts Bitcoin. Yawn. We're very excited that Newegg came to their senses, but it would have been more exciting 6 months ago or even 3 months ago. Now you're just yet another software company that accepts Bitcoin and no one really cares. Don't expect a huge price bump. Newegg, you're late to the party. Bitcoin price surges as Silk Road auction spurs investor interest. There were a lot of losers at the auction, and they all came back to buy Bitcoin. You can see it right in here. Right in here, they're buying and buying and buying. In California, like I told you before, people doubted me. Oh, California has a ban. Oh, California's not so good. Well, now California's governor has signed the bill granting Bitcoin as legal money. So you all can suck it, free staters. California is the original free state. It's time to move again. Time to move somewhere with nice weather where you can swim almost every day. And now, going back to the other guys who are not in a place where you can swim every day. The man in the land of rain, the man in the land of snow, Mr. Blake, Mr. Chris. What's going on? Bitcoin Talk Show.
Hello. Well, it's good to be back in England. I've still got a little souvenir here. It's this bit of green paper. They all pretty much look the same, but this one's got the weird sort of pyramid and all the cult-like symbols on it. It's got some words from Virgil, from the Roman Empire, I think. Some kind of ambition to make a next empire without borders. How well did that work out? And yeah, so I'm super excited to be back, but also really missing America. I kind of felt really weird yesterday. Was it yesterday? Oh God, my mind's going mental. When I was in London and I was walking around and I was looking at Big Ben, you know, the clock, and I took a picture of it for Twitter and I was like, look, a building older than my grandparents. It's so quaint. It's so different. And all the roads are so small, and I had to kind of get used to that. You know, we have roads, you call them sidewalks, but they're like, you know, you can only fit one car at a time down these roads. And if it's not one way, you just have to reverse. There's no other way of doing it.
You have to share? It's nonsense.
You have to share, yeah, because we psychologically have this idea in our heads that this country is so small. So when we build our towns and cities, we build them small because that's what it feels like to live here. But it's entirely unnecessary. London was actually built out of villages. So it's just lots of little villages with interconnecting roads and a few main roads that have been built in the last sort of 30, 40 years, I guess. But interestingly,
small cities, that sounds like bicyclist propaganda.
Yeah, well, a lot of people do cycle in London. But one of the interesting things about London is, you know, in 1970s, London was really a dump. You did not want to live here. I think wasn't until 1960 something that we actually cleaned up the last World War II bomb site. After World War II, Great Britain was decimated. I mean, it was just in economic dumps. Not long after, the Great British Pound actually was the world reserve currency. And of course, following the Second World War, America took over as the world reserve currency, and it became the global superpower of our planet. So it's interesting, the transition. I was born in 1980, so I've really seen London grow up as a city to become the kind of international financial center that it now is. But of course, now it's become the center for fraud because we have laws in our country that allow our banks to fractional reserve to infinity, basically entering more and more numbers onto spreadsheets, trying to then persuade everyone that those numbers are valuable by using, aggressive marketing and advertising strategies. So yeah, boy, do I feel glad to be back. And back to the land of fraud, whether you're either working in advertising or you're working in finance. You're either telling people to get screwed over or you're screwing people over. It's a great life here in England, and actually I can't wait to go back to America.
At least you have the option of doing the screwing. Blake, how's it going in Minnesota? Eh? You're muted still, which is probably like plugging in your headphones or plugging in your audio cable. There's probably some kind of technical issue.
Oh no.
We could hear him beforehand. Before we could hear him fine. Then we pushed the go button. He's
In fact, we could hear him too much in the green room. Now we can't hear him enough. Now we actually do want him to talk.
So I don't need to know about the mute button. That won't happen to me.
No, he's plugging stuff. He's plugging stuff in. Whilst he's getting ready, now? I do want to talk about the sentiment.
Can you hear me?
And oh, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, you're loud. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You can hear me now. My tablet got torqued in travel, so can you hear me? Well, I have two issues right now.
Clear.
Number one is that my touchscreen is not working, so I have to use the, stylus. Who does that? And number two is that I'm tethered to my 4G phone, and it's chirping at me like it's going to die. So what I'm actually going to have to do is jump out, connect to my office internet, which is slower than 4G, and then reconnect with you guys. And then I can pontificate about, myself and how awesome I am.
It sounds like you're describing Minnesota. Bad internet, and all your tech devices are broken. I would blame the snow. Is it still snowing there?
It's probably going to snow. It's like 80 degrees outside today, but it'll probably still snow today at some point.
Looks like single-handedly causing the price of Megacoin to go down.
I will, in just one moment, be right back. I'm going to switch to my office internet.
All right, buddy. Cool. See you in a sec. So, Tom, I want to talk about Tim Draper, and in particular, I want to talk about the response on Reddit and Twitter, which has actually been very, very positive. Lots of people have been saying, wow, this couldn't have been a better person or company, in my opinion, exactly what Bitcoin is for. Generally, the sentiment is the only better thing that could have happened is if Ross somehow ended up with that money back, Yeah. And I'm actually really happy about this decision, because what Tim is saying he intends to do with these Bitcoins is to add liquidity into emerging markets. So one of the things that he brings up in the blog post, I don't know if you've got it there, it's on medium.com, where he actually talks about how Bitcoin can save people that are living in countries whose currencies are being debased, quoting, Bitcoin frees people from trying to operate in a modern market economy with weak currencies. With the help of Varoom and this newly purchased Bitcoin, we expect to be able to create new services that can provide liquidity and confidence to markets that have been hamstrung by weak currencies. So essentially, if you were born into a country like Argentina, where your currency is being regularly debased, let's say every decade or so, because the government is just fiscally irresponsible and doesn't know what they're doing. Well, it's okay, because you can just go online and you can set up a Bitcoin address within seconds. You can go to blockchain.info. It takes about 30 seconds to set up an account, and instantly you've got a Bitcoin address. You can start accepting money right away. And all you've really got to do is be good at something. In fact, you don't even have to be very good at it. You can just be a little bit good at it, and people will join you if you just do something, talk about it, take pictures of yourself doing it, record it. If music is your thing, start playing music, upload it to the internet and attach a Bitcoin address with a QR code, maybe enlist the help of someone like Tom and me. We can get something going on Twitter with some clever graphics on Photoshop. All of a sudden, you're generating value. That's valuable to somebody else. And what we found, I know, Tom, you've got more experiences with it. I mean, this was my first experience of it, doing the fundraiser to go to America. But I was just overwhelmed by people just sending me money, like random people on the internet sending me money, because I guess they believe what I believe and they want to see me go and they want to do it. And it's really encouraging. So he helps people, I would argue, more deserving than me across the world in developing and emerging economies, where they can actually choose to opt out of their government currency to actually empower them to earn a living and to actually bring the wealth inside of their country as well. get some of the wealth outside
You
of.
don't want to confuse charity with a brand new media market right here. And essentially, we are doing some work for our like donations or whatever you want to call them. Like, if you like the videos, if you like videos of us going places, it costs money to go places. So if you donate, we go places. That's a pretty simple idea. And like we've been saying before, and I try to say it in every one of our videos recently, is that it's about the reputation system. It's about that people trust us, that we make good videos, that our goal is clear and transparent. We want to make videos, and that's what people donate for. And then when they get videos, they're happy. Like, we've satisfied the market need, and that's what the charity systems are all about. They need to satisfy the market need, and I'm especially interested in things like BTC Jam, which is like Kiva, where it's like micro lending. So if you're a person in another country, you need money for bus fare, and either you get bus fare money or you lose your job. Obviously, if they lose their job, they're not going to be able to pay back any loans. They're not going to be able to do anything. The whole economic thing slides right off. But if they can loan bus fare from BTC Jam, and if they can build, experience as being a good borrower by paying things back, they can have a good reputation and they can continue to get these microloans. So it really is about reputation, again, that we need this global reputation system, and that it really is a zero-sum game. If you take something from the world, someone else can't have it. And it's hard for people to think like that, but it's like chess, where there's only 8 pawns. And if I kill one of those pawns, it's gone. Like, it's not coming back. And in the same way, the space on the board is either taken up or not taken up. And that's what it is now with Bitcoin, with reputation.
It really blurs the line. It blurs the line between charity and value for value exchanges. Adam Levine calls it on Let's Talk Bitcoin. I really believe in Adam's idea of generating value for value, where you just make it as easy as possible to donate to your work. Like we have, I mean, donate isn't even the right word, as you point out, because you're not donating, you're just spending money. It doesn't feel like it, because I think for the last 20 years, particularly our generation, or maybe the generation before us, the millennials, they're growing up for the first time in a world that has the internet. They don't remember life before the mobile phone. They don't remember life before the internet, and they are used to getting content for free. So suddenly to start saying, well, actually, this content was never really free. It's just that the old industrial economy was overpaying this bunch of white middle class people in the West too much, such that they had some surplus income, such that they could work for free for a few years. But then when that money ran out, and all of those jobs, a lot of the jobs like the job I used to do, has largely been automated away, to the point where you can still make a living out of it, but you have to be in the top 1% now. Otherwise, it's just kind of farmed out to the developing world, where it's automated away with software. So this is forcing people to become more entrepreneurial. We're starting to follow our dreams a little bit more. We're all becoming content producers now on the internet. We're all becoming artists. But I really quite like that. I don't know how sustainable it's going to be. I don't know if this scales across the world of 7 billion people on the planet, if they can all just have their own YouTube channels. I don't know that it's going to work that way, because you still need, for example, you're still going to need farming. So I was speaking to a friend, Fred, yesterday. I went for a meeting at the UKDCA, which is like Britain's Digital Currency Association. And Fred deals with businesses in South America. And one of the industries that's really failing at the moment is agriculture. The average age of a farmer in the world right now is 58 years old. And we all need to eat. That's not a speculation. We are going to need to eat in the future. You can't eat YouTube videos, no matter how good or funny they are. And he's talking about setting up prime markets directly with retail markets. So you don't have any middlemen. You have like an eBay style website where a farmer in Argentina can sell his goods directly to the consumer in the United Kingdom, and you could pay for that in Bitcoin. So I also think that area of the market is also very exciting, because the farmer could then start doing blogs, start doing video blogs, tell you actually how he treats the land, what kind of chemicals he uses, and why he chooses to do it the way he does it. Because like we had at Pork Fest, a lot of people there were into permaculture. A lot of people there were interested in sustainable farming. I think some of the food that we were eating was actually like hand reared. Like there was a pig situation, I hear, which was the people actually fed it milk like by hand as a young piglet, and it was fed on organic grass and all this kind of thing. And the pig was not forced into life just so that we could eat it. Like its existence didn't depend on a global agricultural market where we force these animals into life, we force them into death, and then we trade them on commodities exchanges, trying to extract as much rent from the other side as we possibly can. Like it was a very kind of human, very humanitarian act, very kind of, you know, a very kind of peaceful act. And I really like the ideas behind that movement. And I think as you start to incorporate that into your marketing message as a farmer, I think you completely undermine a lot of these global businesses, you know, like Walmart, where I went for the first time in America, where everything's very depersonalized. It's a race to the bottom. You just try to get as much as you can. You sell it for as, you know, or you sell it for as cheaply as you can to drive as much traffic to your store as possible. But really, I think what the secret to Bitcoin, a lot of these cryptocurrencies, that it actually empowers the people at the bottom more than it does the people at the top.
It does, and it allows people to send money with no transaction fees. It allows people to save their money with no damaging withdrawal fees or savings account, bad check fees. All those kind of fees are gone. And if you think about a feeless banking system, that's what we're heading towards here with the Bitcoin.
Well, there's a total paradigm shift. Tomorrow I'm giving a talk in Leeds at the beginning of the Tour de France. We're having like a panel discussion with a bunch of people in finance and banking, and I'm going to be there to tell them, as gently as I can, that this paradigm shift represents what you're doing is you're charging fees based on the amount of data that you're sending over the network. You're not charging based on the actual amount. So this is not a rentier style economy where you charge as much as you can for as little effort as possible. The entire incentive engineering, which was set up by Satoshi originally, was that it paid honesty more than fraud. Because what will a fraud always do? A fraud will always put in the least amount of effort for the maximum amount of gain. That was what all frauds had in common. So he said, yeah, you could choose between, you know, either attacking the network and trying to defraud the system, or you could just mine an honest block and just be rewarded in Bitcoins. And given the choice, Satoshi said you ought to just mine the honest chain.
We're joined by Jamie Nelson, live from Wisconsin. How's it going, Jamie?
It's going good. Well, since the Minnesota call didn't go through, I figured I'd join from the next state over. We can here.
Yeah. And there he is, as if he arrives. The Minnesota call's back, so we're all on here, and we're all on Bitcoin Talk. So Jamie, you were watching from afar. What did you think of Bitcoin in the Beltway and the Pork Fest Liberty Festival? What did you think?
Well, I thought you did a great job covering it. I was really appreciative of that, as I didn't get to go myself. But I really thought it was helpful to have everybody there, you know, representing Bitcoin, and to see the, you know, all the progress that's being made. Just in the last month, even Bitcoin and the altcoins are growing by leaps and bounds.
Well, and now we have a situation where Newegg.com has come online, and we're all very happy to have them, but at the same time, it's so old news. Like all these other shops accept Bitcoin. Like, we'll add you to the list, Newegg, but you waited so long. Although, while we're here looking at the Newegg site, airplanes, I want to talk about what they've done with their website here. On the left-hand side and on the right-hand side, Newegg says, pay with Bitcoin. Shopping here just got faster. So they're making a value claim that Bitcoin is superior to other currencies. And on the right-hand side, it says 5 simple steps to paying smarter, which, again, Bitcoin is paying smarter. So Newegg is not only just supporting us by accepting the currency, they've become propagandists. They're in complete agreement with the things that we've been saying, that basically if you pay with Bitcoin, you don't have to leave behind your address information. If you pay with Bitcoin, you don't even really need an account. Like, you can just come in and pay. They can send the item to you.
Well, it's not propaganda. It's actual utility.
Oh, yeah, they'd need your address for shipping, but just that's it, though. Chris, what'd you say?
It's not propaganda. They're adding utility to the network. Like, it's like... oh, damn, it's gone from my head, but the more telephones you add to the network, the more valuable each telephone gets. Right? Because you're increasing the number of people. I forget Metcalfe's law. So absolutely, this is not propaganda. This is actually providing more value to the Bitcoin network.
Definitely. Jamie, what do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I've been saying that, and like you and I had talked before about giving Bitcoin to people. Why should we give somebody $1 in Bitcoin? It's not like just giving money out to strangers. It's growing the network and getting them involved to buy something with Bitcoin or to save it or something. They learn the value of it, and then the Bitcoin network grows exponentially.
Absolutely, and it's the same thing with any other kind of, say, alternative currency you want people to try out. I was at Pork Fest just a couple days ago, and something strange happened. People started giving me silver. Not very much, like $5 worth here or there, just a couple bucks. And it's something that I'd never really had a lot of precious metals or been interested in it, but I bought 20 bucks worth and I put it on a shelf, and hey, it's cool. It's a little bit of money, right? I guess. So, and that's the same thing with Bitcoin. If you're not into Bitcoin, if your friends aren't into it, you've got to, be like the silver people. You have to give them a little bit, give them a few dollars, get them started on it so they can try it out, and they might like it.
I got a silver coin. So Mike Maloney very kindly gave me this Pegasus coin, which I've been a big fan of his show for a long time. So yeah, I got a few ounces of silver actually. I got a few people kind of give me their silver. Doesn't travel over the internet very well, but it does look nice. I like having beautiful things in my life.
Yeah, it seems less useful than a quarter I could put in a slot at a video game machine, but still kind of cool, I guess. If you need silver.
Yeah, it's art.
It's art. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're joined by Blake from the Face of the Moon. Blake,
oh my God, man! Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, dude, we can hear you. Airplanes, crickets. Sunshine.
So the office doesn't work. I go home, and then everyone's going apeshit inside, so that's cool. I'll go outside. I've got an AC11 router that I bought in Bitcoin, so now it's like a $7,000 router. And like you go like 5 feet from it, and it's like, nothing.
Dude, we got a $50 Asus just a few months ago, and it's fantastic. Like twice the range of our old router. Can sit in the garden now. Go swimming.
Get that from Walmart?
No, it was like Fry's Electronics. You missed out, Chris. There's more giant warehouse stores than just Walmart. We've got Fry's Electronics, which is like a giant warehouse of electronics. We've got Costco, which is a giant warehouse of everything. Costco, you have to buy everything in a giant package.
You've seen Idiocracy, right?
Probably
What's that?
not.
Chris, have we seen? We have to watch Idiocracy together, all like at once.
Okay. That sounds good.
That might be the theme for our Burning Man camp this year is Idiocracy. We already do Faderade, which is a lot like Rondo. But airplane. Yeah, Blake, you're gonna excite everyone with the sound. We're gonna hear all about this.
I'm sorry, man. Everyone's gonna get all excited. The sun's right in the shit, and I wasn't ready. This is all my bad. I thought my new technology would just transcend the need for preparedness, but that's definitely not what happened.
We should tell the audience that you're an information technologist. So I'm loving the irony of this situation. So you're an information scientist. Sorry, you're an information scientist, right?
I was at work, and you guys called me, and I was like, sure, I'll do it. And then, like, all my stuff is still in my backpack because I had to take it from my briefcase to put it in my backpack because the TSA is a pain in the ass. I didn't want to check any luggage. It's my bad, man. I've been traveling.
Yeah, I'm still working on updating videos. I've got a brand new episode of the Bitcoin group just ready to upload. Got the I should try to upload that now. I'm trying to.
Did we talk about Coinbase yet, about the new security that they're going to implement and how the old security is not good enough?
So tell us about that.
True. Well, I really respect and admire Charles Lee. He's a really, really great guy. He invented Litecoin. He works for Coinbase. And I think that the problem with Coinbase security is that it's kind of like the problem with pseudo-anonymity, if you want to call it a problem, is that you are secure as the way that you use various things. And people have made the argument, well, Coinbase should make it inherently secure, but Coinbase doesn't have a lot of control over whether or not you have two-factor authentication on your email. So this debate, should Coinbase, require people to have 2FA proved on their email before they make an account, and then have that required to be 2FA authenticated too? And that's maybe a discussion that we should have. Should they pressure people into being secure that really don't care, and how much would that affect adoption?
I've seen some websites do this really neat thing where they keep pestering you to add, it's called pesterware, right? They keep pestering you to add 2FA, two-factor
What's such a good
authentication.
thing to pester about, though?
I
Yeah.
like, yeah, exactly. I like this because it's like social pressure. Like, are you sure you don't want TFA? Are you sure? Okay, please sign this disclaimer where you said that you understand the risks of not adding two-factor authentication. So I think that's very cool. It puts pressure on people to actually go and research it. In fact, on MCX Now, you know, the site that's actually run by Real Solid, who's been a very controversial figure in this space, he actually has on the front page of his website, "Are you a baby? MCX Now is the world's fastest, most secure exchange. However, it is also an exchange which is designed to limit the human element to increase the safety of your funds." He's basically saying your account details at MCX Now are not exposed to multiple underpaid or undereducated persons. But if you forget your password or you lose your Google Authenticator, you may face delays of up to 3 months to recover it and a fee of $100. So he's really going gung-ho on this. He's really saying, look, you are absolutely responsible for your funds. And I will not take shit from anybody. And I mean, the one thing I can't really condone is like, "Are you a baby?" But I kind of admire his marketing strategy there. Like he's actually using some reverse psychology on people. It's like, I don't even want you as a customer if you don't know how to use two-factor.
Yeah, I mean, I'll call somebody who really doesn't want to use two-factor a baby. I don't think that that's too cutting. And be like, don't be a baby, man. You know, man up, learn it. It takes 5, 10, 15 minutes. And then you can't be stolen from in the age of information. You can't be stolen from, but it makes it so much more. Or does it make, like, people will skip over your shit. They'll be like, nope, I'm going to go look for an unsecured account. That's just how it's going to happen. And we need to, tell people.
It's also an arms race, right? I mean, the fact is that once we all start using 2FA and then the hackers then start to improve, we'll all need to use some other form of encryption, right? So this is the website here. It's MCX Now. It is a non-fiat website, which means that you can only trade in cryptocurrency pairs. It's also got, like, you can buy its own internal fees and stuff like that.
What is this gentleman's name again?
Real Solid is his pseudonym. No one knows who he actually is.
Real Solid. I like that. I like that pseudonym. I love Solid Snake in the Metal Gear series.
He's a very controversial figure in the space because, you know, he said he's going to do a lot of things in the past and then not done them. But at the same time,
is difficult. I've done that before.
Yeah, but then at the same, but some fairly big bold promises. But then again, he's also one of the most knowledgeable people in the whole space as well. So he's probably one of the few people in the world that really understands cryptocurrency end to end. So,
one more time his pseudonym.
Real Solid.
And
Real Solid. Okay, I'll remember it.
He has a question for the group. Jamie, go ahead.
I was just going to say on the 2FA, I've been doing a lot of research on that lately since a lot of people were having some Bitcoin stolen out of their Coinbase's accounts. And the 2FA, you have to set it up properly also. The SMS 2FA is not necessarily secure because SMS is also very hackable.
And there's a big problem with the 4G LTE network. They launched satellites with this giant software problem. 4G LTE SMS text transmission is really goofy, so there's also a big chance that you won't get your SMS unlock message unless you have something that will work in airplane mode, which 2FA does.
It's also could be a problem with email as a two-factor authentication. It's not really two factors. If you take over the email, you get the whole account. The same way a lot of these systems seems to let you reset the two-factor authentication through the email. So if you take over the email, you reset the 2FA, it's not really two-factor, it's one-factor authentication. It's important for the companies themselves to have thought experiments and to test this kind of thing out. If I was a hacker and I took over your email account, what could I do to your Coinbase account? What could I do to your blockchain.info account? How can the default settings for the babies, how can the default settings be better? And essentially, like you guys are saying, you have to have Gmail. You have to have two-factor authentication on your email, or it's not valuable in this case. If you have to get a special Gmail account, if you have to use a special password, if you have to make it really hard to get to your money, then you're doing a good job and your money's going to be hard to steal. If it's really easy to get to your money, If you just log in and it's there, if you save your password, you're making your money easier to steal. We all have to be adults on this. All that talk about not securing your computers, all the not caring that we've been doing for all these years, well, now they're putting money on your computers. Your computer didn't
It's
use
a bank.
Yeah.
It's a bank. Your computer's a bank, and in the past, your bank was empty. Like, no one cares about, your little Photoshops, your little Word
Or your
document.
data storage of your porn or whatever. Yeah, man,
Yeah,
nobody
no,
used to
no,
care.
it-
And
it's
now
but
and
now they're
the
putting
internet has
real
grown up.
unique money on your computer, and there are bad people who want to steal that real unique money from you, and they don't care who you are. So
I've run into them.
yeah, we all run into them somewhere. But let's go back out to the internet and let's talk about a real world specific case that just happened to our friend of ours. Now, she did have some form of two-factor authentication. It sounds like it was kind of an email two-factor authentication.
Wait, really quick before we go there, I really want to talk for a second. I want to praise Coinbase for a second because they have coded their system to make new ledger entries for every transaction. So the complexity that they're engendering in the blockchain, making it almost impossible to audit, is something that's really, really, really cool that I don't think that a lot of people understand that Coinbase is doing. They're really helping. And it's incumbent upon all of us, no matter what wallet you use. Satoshi would agree with me and say that you need to be making new entries for every single transaction. It's an elemental part of how we want Bitcoin to work. So I really encourage people to make that information available and to talk about it as much as possible. But I didn't mean to railroad you there.
So what are the advantages to having two entries?
Well, if every transaction is going to a new entry, I mean, trying to audit this system becomes an absolute living nightmare. There's 7 billion possible people on Earth. You don't know if 2 entries belong to 1 people or multiple people. It makes audit just really more or less impossible. As an information scientist and a project manager, if somebody came to me and they're like, audit the blockchain with new entries for every transaction, no IPs stored, you can maybe try to look at somebody's social media account and then figure stuff out from there. But it's a very, very, very difficult task without some real knowledge on how to look for things in systems that are not keeping track of people's names and stuff like that.
Because I know right now with the blockchain the way it is, it's pretty easy to go through and you can't really track this money. Like, I'm not going to be able to find out where it goes in the end. But this is the sad trail of the money. So it starts out here. The person steals 20 bitcoins from our friend, and then the person steals 9.8 bitcoins. Obviously, the idea here is that Coinbase should have some kind of a filter or a flag on all the new people's accounts. I don't care who you are. If you're trying to move more than 3 bitcoins out of Coinbase at the same time, you're probably being robbed, right? Come on, Coinbase. Let's think about the attackers here. You're buying something that's worth more than 3 bitcoins. Okay, so right now, $600 Bitcoin, that's
I mean, maybe I spent more than that initially. I mean, I had a lot of volume going through pretty quick.
If you're buying a car, if you're buying a new computer, if you're buying something of value, well, we should put in an extra block because we're Coinbase and we're blockchain and we're going to protect our people. We should say, hey, we're not going to let you move that until you give us, mother's maiden name, last 4 of your social, call us on the telephone and tell us a nice story. It doesn't matter. Like, it's about making it harder and protecting your customers, which they are not.
Yeah. I mean, multi-sig I think would be a good implementation to fix this if you have a multi-sig system. But I, for example, just liquidated 8 bitcoins out of my Coinbase account like just the other day, just to pay for power and for rent on my data center and stuff. So there's a lot of coins going in and out of my account all the time, and there has been since I made it. But I agree with you. If we can get some kind of a multi-sig system.
If you have a larger account and if you're like paying larger bills and you're running a larger business, it makes sense that you're going to be moving larger amounts of money around. But we're talking about, alas, here, a mother of 5 kids who's probably.
I agree, and they know who I am, so that's kind of.
And they know who she is too. Like, this isn't the anonymous Bitcoin. This is Coinbase.
That's true, man. That's true.
Acting to protect their customers and not allowing huge transfers of Bitcoins to leave their accounts. But as we can see here, the 29 Bitcoins are stolen. Then the 29 Bitcoins are sent to this account. Then. And
these are the charity coins, right?
Yeah, these are the stolen. They're personal coins owned by a single mother with 5 kids, and it's a lot of money, and they held it all in one pile. And there's problems with that. We're going to be talking about that. One of the things I've been trying to do is get my paper wallet type speech set up so I can tell you guys all about paper wallets and pretty much demand that you all put your money in them and tell you how to do it safely, which is really complicated. But So pretty much you can see here it joins the rest of his Bitcoins. He's got 132 Bitcoins now, the criminal. So he's put the 30 Bitcoins in with his other 100 Bitcoins that he stole from somewhere else. And people have started to put messages on this account. Because with the blockchain client, you can put a little public note in. Sorry you guys had to come to such methods to gain money. Something must have gone wrong in your life, and I hope you can turn it around. I hope you can give this mom her money back. She needs it to support her family. So there are like messages being sent, and then we follow the money.
Boy, my good friend Christoph, I mean, you said it was complicated, and it is, but my good friend Christoph Atlas wrote a book, and find Christoph Atlas's Secure Bitcoin book. I think it's called Anonymous Bitcoin, and
Yep.
it is, he wrote the book. I mean, information science goes from theory to book to understanding of the theory to writing the actual code and then developing the code. So like when people write the book on new stuff, it's usually pretty exciting stuff, and his book is definitely high caliber, and I want to definitely let people know about it, not just because he's a good friend of mine, but because I went through it as an information scientist, and it's like the white paper standard for how you want to control your Bitcoin and remain anonymous.
Yep.
And if you want to just hear more about that book, too, he just did an interview last week with Gnostic Media where he talks a lot in detail about that to kind of give you a preview.
That's a good point, Jamie. Gnostic Media did do an interview with Christoph lately. Trying to load up their page here. It's not coming up. But, yeah, it's a really good website, and I know he's been working towards that interview for a while. He's been reading Christoph's book and just trying to get ready for it. So I'm sure it's a really good interview that Jan would do. So I'll definitely check that out. So what else we got going on? Obviously we had, we were talking about Nourishing Liberty and Liz. And let me try to pull up the
Let's get a donation address up. I'm just going to send us some Bitcoin now.
All right, so hold on. We're going to go back to screen share. And
I was in contact with Liz right from the moment she let us know that she had her Bitcoin stolen and was trying to help investigate with that. And that's where I started investigating, you know, the SMS hack and all of that. And what it had turned out was she had her SMS messages automatically forwarded to her email account, and that sounds like what had happened, how the hackers got in there and then they got into her email and took over her email account, and she was watching as the hackers were in her email account stealing her Bitcoins, and there was nothing she could do about it.
It sounds like a bad horror movie. They're in the system, and again, that just shows that the SMS text message option is
I
not
sent him
acceptable.
$100.
Well, that's sweet, Blake. The SMS text message option is not acceptable for two-factor security. It's more like one-factor security. So email and text messages we're not talking about. You have to get the Google Authenticator app. You have to install it on your phone. You have to input the code. The code links your phone to your account. Now, you need your phone to log into your account.
I know it sounds Orwellian, but this is like required. This security that you can have with the token on your phone in airplane mode with no connection. It's something that I know it sounds Orwellian. You got to get it from Google and stuff, but we got to do it, man. It's
much
the way to
more
secure.
like a James Bond type thing, like a when you used to read the Tom Clancy books, the spies would have little pads that they could write code on, and when they used one of the codes, they'd cross it off and they'd move to the next code. It's just like that, but on your phone and for your security. It's the kind of thing that all of the banks are going to be doing in probably about 6 months to a year when they get their heads out of their asses and start protecting your bank accounts as well as we're protecting your Bitcoin accounts. But yeah, your Bitcoin accounts need extra security.
And Christoph just posted his second part to his interview with Gnostic Media with Jan.
Very cool. Is it how long is it? Is it like an hour long?
The first one was an hour and 20 minutes, I believe. I don't know how long the second one is here yet.
And here's part 2 right here. And you guys can check that out at Gnostic Media. That's GNO, gnosticmedia.com. And they've got part 1 here as well. Very cool stuff.
So, yeah, part 2 is an hour and a half. So It was very detailed. I watched the first one. I had to watch it in 2 sittings because it was very in depth.
Absolutely, and that's the way to do it. Just go ahead and break it up and come back to it. Don't feel if it's too much, and especially if it's over an hour, like, yeah, take a break for sure. But very cool stuff from Christoph Atlas and Gnostic Media. Let's see what else is going on around the Twitter feed. So yeah, we've got Liz's picture there. So if you would like to donate to Liz, we have that on Twitter there, and you can also read Liz's blog about it at nourishingliberty.com. She works kind of the organic food movement. She's into growing her own food and keeping all those pesticides off there, keeping probably the...
We actually did an interview with her on World Crypto Net when we were at the Beltway conference, so people can look that.
Yeah, we did. How'd that go, Chris? What did you guys talk about?
Really well. We got a lot of really good feedback. I got a tweet from somebody last night telling me how much they liked it, so definitely could do that again. And so far it looks like we've raised 0.7 of a Bitcoin for Liz as well. It's the address beginning 1AID.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing in the article. She needs to put her address up front. The hacker address kind of comes first in the article, so that can be really confusing to people.
But hang on, which one is it? It's not. Is it the one? The donation address is the 1AID one.
1AID, yeah, right here. This
donation address. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and that's the one that's on this QR code that I made.
Yeah.
Graphic. So
okay, I'll tweet that out now.
Yep, and you can just retweet this at Mad Bitcoins. I'll probably put it out again. Whatever. All the guests are coming and going. It's really distracting. But we'll just keep going with this thing. So here's another shot from CNN of the Newegg website. Bitcoin accepted. Take charge of the way you shop. And very cool to have Newegg on board, even though we're giving them a bit of a hard time for being so slow. Go back to my screen. We've also got excellent word from the Piper paper wallet. I very much want to get one of these. I offered them half price in exchange for promoting it, and they offered me haven't emailed you back in 3 days, which is just another great offer that I get from these companies. I'd also like to say that I offered the same deal to Skyhook Bitcoin ATM. I would pay them half price in exchange for promoting their device, and they've also offered me the not emailing you back in 3 days prize. So good work, guys. I really want to promote your products, and you're not working with me. So we've got some more stuff on the Twitter. We've got some mini bits. And as I mentioned earlier, we are working on uploading the Bitcoin group live. Wow, it says 79% done. And I know this is a 4.5 gig file, so that's a really good deal. 5 minutes remaining, you'll be able to get to see the Bitcoin group live and outside from PorkFest, where it snows, but not while we were there. It was mainly rain. We've also got Marguerite, coin artist, has disappeared. Check out the link on Twitter to the post on the Bitcoin Talk forum where she's created this artwork of the two dark wallet guys, Cody Wilson and Amir Taki. I think that's his name.
Disappeared online or IRL?
She's
they got to her, man. They got to her.
No, don't drum people up. People are already like, oh no, she's not safe, and I'm like, oh, stop your worrying. It's like a game. So you'll like this, Blake. It's a puzzle, like a quiz. See, they have these little green dots and red dots. These little letters, S7 numbers. So each one of these little squares no doubt means something in this puzzle. And they've already solved some things. They say they found a public address. There's been an embedded Morse code. So I'm assuming that these little dots are the green ones are dashes and the red ones are stops or something, so you can read Morse code, if you can read Morse code. They found a message decoder, and the old blockchain hints are no relevant. And now there's a contra code in the thing, so there's some IP address. They found some server. They hacked into some server and downloaded a 7-zip. Oh, someone's understood. This is a pretty good puzzle, although I don't understand what the fuck they're talking about.
SHA is the secure hash algorithm.
Yeah, but they need to say what they did to solve these things, so I understand what the heck they're talking about. And then someone they opened the 7-zip. And they open the 7-zip, and Bitcoin hash is the hash of the hash, so 2 SHA-256 rounds are needed. So I have no idea what that means, but maybe we're closer to getting Coin Artist back. If we can solve this puzzle, then she'll return. So interesting stuff out there on the Twitter.
I looked at that, and I think she's going to be lost forever.
Lost forever, says Jamie. Yeah, it looked pretty bad at first, but then all the progress that they've made, I was like, oh, this is starting to look good. Like she'll come back, but who knows how deep the rabbit hole goes? And I think you could get
it's a good thing there's smarter people than I.
and people with more free time on their hands for sure. Although there is
I hope she comes back.
I think there's a prize of like 2.7 bitcoins in this. So if you are a code breaker out there and you're interested in a couple bitcoins legitimately, not just stealing them from people, but
not being a script kiddie, punk piece of garbage.
There. We all can't rhyme so fast.
Oh.
Cold. So what else is going on?
We're getting a bit inside.
We learned that Derek J films everything at PorkFest. That was a neat thing to learn.
The Truman Show, man. Derek J is a radical dude.
Truman Show, man. Yeah, he is tweeting that out. Let's see. What else is going on Bitcoin? Oh.
I understand Derek J has a victimless crime spree video he put out.
He sure does. You haven't seen?
He signed one for my friend Mad Bitcoins over here.
No.
I haven't seen that.
Oh yeah, it's on YouTube. So definitely check it out. There's a couple of different versions. No offense, but I kind of like the shorter version. There's like an hour-long version. Seems about right. And yeah, Derek J went on what he calls a victimless crime spree in the state of New Hampshire, which is, of course, as many people call it, the free state, but I call it the place that's not California. And what he did was he smoked a joint in public. He videotaped a police officer. They had a dance party in public with a little bit of music. And for each one of these things where he didn't harm anyone else, he was locked up and put into jail for, I think, about 30 days, maybe even 90 days. Good behavior and all that.
Sorry, but you could be dancing really, really badly. Like if I danced in public, there would definitely be victims. People would be dialing 911.
Take
People
his
would
eye
try
out.
to resuscitate me. That's nothing to do.
Derek's a good dancer, not going to hurt him.
Alright.
So.
No, and it's really almost kind of viscerally tragic to watch because Derek is such a nice guy and he's so obviously not hurting anybody that it really is kind of a necessarily tragic film, and he did a really, really good job. I mean, I get choked up watching it.
Yeah, he's a good spokesperson for the Liberty thing because he obviously believes in what he's saying, and he's totally honest with the police. He's like, I was just filming you. I'm not hurting you. And then the cops, of course, have to, like, wrestle him to the ground, look through his pockets. Later on, they get into doing cavity searches. It's something the police seem to be into. Not sure why. They seem to think there's a lot of storage spaces in the human body, from what I can tell.
Cavity searches on the video?
Not on the video, but he
No,
does
sorry.
describe
Only on the director's cut.
being in prison.
No, I watched the hour-long one, and yeah, it was really good. I didn't know that he was into doing civil disobedience and all that kind of stuff. I had no idea that he was. You know,
Oh yeah, he was, you know, for a while there when
He was on Adam versus the Man.
No,
He was on Adam versus the Man and everything.
Oh
Derek
yeah,
was.
he's been on a lot of shows. Free Talk Live, LRN FM, all the.
Well, I guess he's got a
Peace
pretty
News
nice
Now.
traction now.
Yeah, we
He's
actually,
got
when we
good
got
traction.
the first thing Tom and I did when we got to PorkFest was went on his radio show. We turned up in the middle of the night, like we just like staggering our way, like because it was really dark, and so we're like finding our way. There was a big hill that we could have fallen down or even rolled down, depending on whether or not we were listening to the locals. And we kind of made our way up into this kind of media center because that's where all the noise seemed to be coming from. And guess who we saw live on air, like right there? It was Derek, and
topless to boot.
topless. And the first thing we hear when we get there is that a woman like took her top off and she was told to put it back on, and because they're all libertarians, right? They're really angry about this. So now you've got one group of libertarians having a go at another group of libertarians, telling them that you can't tell them what to do. And so he goes to an ad break. He comes running up to me and Tom, and he just starts like hugging us because the first time we'd seen each other in 3 dimensions, you know. And he's like, "You got to come on the show." So he actually cuts his other guest short just so we can go on there. And it was really cool. And Blake, thank you so much for taking my picture as well. That was really cool. It's given me some.
Yeah, I tweeted it out. I tweeted it out right away because it was great because Derek was topless. So then in solidarity, I just was like, well, my shirt's coming off too because let's all be topless. We've all got a vitamin D deficiency. There's actual real scientific reasons why there should be more
With all
toplessness.
those mosquitoes,
I just
the
thought it was
mosquitoes
great.
were loving it. The mosquitoes couldn't believe their luck.
It's a buffet.
Yeah.
white pasty buffet.
Try to picture up, but I'm not sure. Let's see.
Have you ever heard of the Pi wallet?
Now, what's the Pi wallet? Does it keep things in pies?
No, it's Pi, like 3.1482825582, whatever.
Oh, not like Prime Coin again. Not another Prime Coin.
No. It's easier. Like a Raspberry Pi, yeah. It's just so if a guy I know, I mean, he made it, but I mean, you can make your own. You can just go to piwallet.com. I think it's pi-wallet. I mean, you can make your own, but basically, it's just he compiled Armory to run on the Raspberry Pi operating system. So basically, you have this. Yeah, it's a cold computer, and it's a Raspberry Pi, and the advantage of the Raspberry Pi is that it doesn't have any radio connections whatsoever. So it has no wireless LAN, no Bluetooth, no infrared, no way for any weird, hyper paranoid NSA weird shit to get a hold of your files. And it's really small. It's easy to hide. And yeah, you just use the some little memory cards to do the cold storage. And the way that he has it set up is that the keys are never on the hot computer ever.
Very interesting stuff, and sounds very secure because you don't want those.
I mean, it's just a little bit. It's not really that complicated. I mean, and it's another option besides a paper wallet if you don't feel like having a piece of paper. Or if you want to, you should mix it up. You should have paper. You could have cold computer. Yeah, what do you want to say?
So do you mean it actually signs the transactions on the Pi and then you transfer that to a live computer?
Yes, I believe so.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's what Armory does.
The problem I have, I can't explain it well enough because I haven't spent enough time exploring Armory, the Armory wallet. I don't know if you're familiar with that. That's kind of like, there's another thing called Trezor. And Armory is kind of like similar, but Armory is all open source, so you can take it and recompile it or whatever, do stuff to it, and that's basically all he did. Is just took Armory and made it so that you can use it on the Raspberry Pi.
The problem with Armory is it's quite difficult to set up if you're a novice. So if you're really into tech and stuff, it's quite simple. But I imagine he's created something that's a bit more.
Yeah, well, actually, you're right. That's the one critique. That's what I said. I don't want to explain people how to use Armory right now on air because I have enough trouble getting my head around it. But if you were storing lots of bitcoins, maybe you're a business that deals in bitcoins. Armory is perfect. Yeah,
because
exactly.
Then you can just generate 1,000 addresses on the cold computer, give those to all your customers to spend to, and of course it's all offline, but then you can also spend them by signing all the transactions offline, just taking the signature onto the internet on a USB stick, and it's just, there you go, done.
Exactly, that's the concept. The concept is, that everything is offline. And I mean, you could also just in a simpler way, just put a QT or some wallet on a Raspberry Pi. I mean, it wouldn't be doing the signature thing, but it would just be another option of a real easy way to have a compact cold computer as opposed to having a whole bunch of paper wallets. I mean, you could have paper wallets too, but I mean, they could get lost. They could get, what if your roommate finds this piece of paper and thinks it's magic internet money and throws it in the garbage or whatever, you know what I mean? But Raspberry Pi, you're not going to throw it away. You're like, oh, this is some weird machine. I'm going to keep that.
So one of the things I like to tell people at home, one of the things I did when I came to the US, because obviously I wanted to bring my bitcoins with me, but the laws regarding bringing currency over the border are such that if you have current, you're not allowed any more than like $10,000 worth of foreign currency. So just to be on the safe side, I backed up all my private keys. I sent a load to paper wallets. I encrypted them in a DMG file, like a virtual disk. I encrypted them in there. I uploaded them to Dropbox. I deleted every last trace of blockchain, Bitcoin, Feathercoin, all the currencies that I own off my computer. I went across the United States border with no currency on me. Literally, I had no currency on me. I uninstalled every trace of every blockchain that I had, and then when I got to the hotel, I simply downloaded my bitcoins. So technically, I didn't break any laws. Like it was,
no, absolutely
it was on the
not.
internet. I mean, I didn't.
Yeah, cold storage is great for that.
Like, I looked at the law quite carefully, and I'm pretty sure that just having the private keys on your computer is not breaking the law, because I'd only be breaking the law if I had a copy of the blockchain on my computer. Then they could say, yeah, okay, you've got the currency because you now have, because in order to spend it, you can't just have the private key, you've got to have the entire history of the blockchain going back to 2009. Now, since I didn't have that on me, I wasn't breaking any laws, right, guys?
Yeah, definitely. I think that there's a lot of information that people would really love to understand relative to being able to put their bitcoins into cold storage, or the digital storage of value into cold storage, because then it's off the network. It can't be accessed by any computer. So it's, for all intents and purposes, dead or destroyed or burned currency unless you take action to bring it back and resurrect it. So in legal parlance, that's not something that exists unless it gets changed.
Yeah, it's very cool. So I have some breaking news, guys. It looks like we've raised a whole Bitcoin for Liz, Nourishing Liberty. So that's pretty cool. So we've got her up to 1 Bitcoin since I tweeted out. You should definitely go take a look at this address. Please help our friend Liz. She was very kind to Tom and I. We spent a day driving up to New Jersey the day after the Bitcoin Beltway conference finished, and Liz was so kind. She took us in for lunch and she fed us and watered us, even though she's not necessarily in a financial position to do that. But she's just really nice lady, and I really enjoyed spending time with her family. It was good to sort of get out of DC as well and see some real kind of people in a kind of semi-rural.
And we met a lot of great people on our trip who were really kind to us.
Yeah.
Paige let us stay in her hotel room. Michelle Seven let us stay at her apartment and let us drive her truck. And we just had a lot of people who helped us out while we were on the East Coast. And I just like to thank all those people, because when Chris and I are out there traveling, we don't have a lot of money or a lot of connections. And when we do meet a connection, like a friend who's going to help us out, we do appreciate it a lot. So just thank you to everyone who helped us out.
Well, and as someone, I mean, I'm a parent. I have a child. You might have heard him. They just came in just now. My son Oliver, he's fantastic. But having 5 children, I mean, like, what does Jim Gaffigan say? If you want to know what having a 4th or 5th child is like, imagine you're drowning and somebody hands you a baby. So it's, a lot of work to be a good parent to 5 children. I mean, anybody can be, a despondent or detached parent, but when you have 5 kids and you believe in the NAP and, you're gonna parent maybe in a Dr. Sears type of fashion, that takes a lot of effort. And if we can maybe help out to ameliorate some of the damage that those scumballs did when they stole her Bitcoin, I would really encourage everybody to go ahead and donate. I donated $100, and I'm going to definitely try to donate more through Bitcoin.
Well, and I know we're not going to get the full 30 Bitcoins back. That's kind of just crazy talk. But I was thinking in my mind, I was like, maybe we could get 3 back for her. That would be about 10%. And that would just be kind of nice, a little nest egg. Hopefully she can put it on paper wallets. She can secure it in different piles. And again, if we can all kind of learn from this example that having 30 Bitcoins in a pile is too many, right?
Way too many.
It's not like, I mean, if I have a savings account and I have maybe a couple $1,000 in my savings account, that's safe, right? Because it's a savings account. But if you have a couple $1,000 in your Bitcoin account, what that is that's a target. And if you're a hacker and you're a bad dude out there and you're like, I'll steal from charities, I'll steal from children, I'll steal from anybody, and maybe you got some bad problems, I don't know, you got debts, whatever, you got issues. But, if you have 30 Bitcoins, that's what the hacker's going to look at. That's what they're going to put on their pegboard, and they're going to say, I'm coming back for this. I might have to collect a bunch of information. I might have to do a bunch of stuff, take over your email account. But
it's worth it. They have a material incentive. Yeah, they'll do it. If they don't have the moral stop, say.
It's a big sign. It's saying there are 30 Bitcoins here. You can get them all at the same time. It's a much like we just saw with the auction with like we saw with the auction with Mr. Draper. He was able to get 30,000 Bitcoins at one time, and that excited him so much that he outbid everyone else. In the same way, if you have 30 Bitcoins in your account, a hacker is going to outbid all of your security, and they're going to just work very, very hard every day until all of your security is gone, and what they get is your Bitcoins. So it's rough out there, and we've got to be more careful. I want to make
something else clear, too.
Using just, old-fashioned fiat money. So.
I want to make it be secure. You really robust on a Bitcoin wallet. I mean, Bitcoin is it has
Looks like Blake's having some internet troubles.
Very secure, but
The ability to be very secure. Chris, do you think Blake can be more secure with his...
He couldn't be more secure. He's certainly not touching the internet right now. But the important thing to remember that a Bitcoin private key is a password. And so if you generate your private keys offline, especially if it's a computer that is dedicatedly offline, so preferably doesn't even have a network connection of any kind, you can still get old computers. Just give it a clean install, preferably with Linux, but it doesn't have to be. As long as it doesn't touch the internet, you can just generate as many Bitcoin key pairs as you like, and you can start having money sent to those addresses. And if that never touches the internet, there's no need for any passwords other than on the computer itself.
Now, I'm not sure about this idea because it would allow people would have to trust me, but I guess at a certain point, if you're unable to produce paper wallets, I could produce a trusted system or just send you some of those Piper wallets in the mail. I'll just print them out, shove them in an envelope.
Yeah, but then how do they know that you didn't keep a copy of the private key? The important
they would just have to trust me.
Well, so let's take out the trust altogether. Only trust the private key that you generate.
I could film myself doing it, and then I could put it on the internet. But then I suppose I could steam the envelopes open.
The key here is education and helping people take responsibility for their individual actions. And so what you're doing is you just make a video showing them how to make a paper wallet. It's not actually that difficult.
I will, but they'll freak out at the difficulty level.
Well, they've got to learn. Pain comes from understanding.
I don't think it's as hard as people think. You know, you have to just do it. I just checked over at the Pi Wallet site. If you go to pi-wallet.com, I mean, they sell stuff, but they have this one section called Build Your Own. And let me do the quick, let me try to share, hold on. Build your own Pi wallet, and I mean, they organized it in a really good way. I mean, it's a few steps. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, okay, 10 steps. But I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, they try to make it pretty simple, you know, download this, install this, and then there you go. And they've got some videos, I think, in their how-to, and it shows in a basic way how to do these signatures that we've been talking about. These, so how you validate your transactions being totally cold. You can't really see anything right now that's interesting, but they explain it in a pretty good way, I think. So it's a good starting point to use something besides paper. Paper wallets are cool too, but I mean everything has their advantages and disadvantages, and I think we're going to have to think about maybe like cold devices or something like that.
I do think we mentioned briefly the Trezor wallet, which is kind of like Treasure. Like that is going to be a really helpful device. The I don't know, digital offline online wallet, like that kind of thing is what we're really going for.
You can also, on a Raspberry Pi, you can just use bitaddress.org, which produces a public-private key pair like this. You don't actually have to download the entire blockchain. The problem with the Raspberry Pi and Armory combination is that you have to have a version of the Satoshi client, don't you, Theo?
I don't want to go into the technical. I would have to go through those steps. And I mean, what you can do, if it's too complicated, you just ask him, you buy a memory card from him, and it has it ready to go. And you just put the memory card in the Raspberry Pi, and you're ready to go. And then you follow the directions on how to do the transactions. If you want to build it yourself, I have to reference the steps that he outlines actually, and be really careful that I do it all. I don't know if you have to have a Satoshi client or not. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I was just thinking of the Pi wallet when we were talking about, you know, people getting their stuff stolen, 2FA, and all that. I wonder what's going to happen. What's going to come after 2FA? After somebody figures out how to 3FA, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it's what you are. So there's what you know, what you have, and what you are. So the next level is biometric.
There's a new hardware wallet that there's a Kickstarter program for that's a USB stick that you stick into a printer, and then it generates a paper wallet JPEG for you, and it's supposed to have high entropy and create a new one every time. So every time you plug it in, it creates a new paper wallet, and you click print or you press print on the printer button. It prints out the paper wallet. You pull out your USB stick. It erases that JPEG that was on there because you lose power. You plug your USB stick back into the printer, and it creates a new paper wallet for you, and you print it out, and you can keep doing that until infinity, or well, not infinity, but close to it. And they're going to go for about $50 each, I think.
Yeah,
That
functionally
sounds very cool.
Yeah, I think all of these are really cool things, but I think that yeah, it's kind of like what we're talking about. There has to be some kind of link between the people have to learn, of course, but there has to be some kind of bridge between making it really simple and really secure. I mean, maybe for us, a lot of this stuff sounds pretty simple, you know? But just for like a new person that's just getting into it, they also need they need to, every time I try to explain cold storage to people, they're lost. You know what I mean? I explain Bitcoin, they're like, okay, I can get that more or less. You know, it's like internet money and currency. Maybe they can understand that, and they understand that it's cool because there's no banks and low transfer fee. They get that part. Then I'm like, yeah, and then they're like, I heard it's not secure, and I'm like, yeah, well, you have to use cold storage, and they're like, what the hell is that? And then it gets really complicated, and then they're just freaked out, basically. You know, I kind of have to dose the amount of complexity about Bitcoin. You know what I mean? And so there needs to be something a little bit more intuitive that could be. I guess paper wallets is a good step, but I think I'm not sure what it is. Maybe we just have to invent some real simple hardware or cold device that is really easy for newbies or people that are just getting into it to use, and say this is like, you know, your vault, you know, to hold your Bitcoins, and that's safe. And,
it does seem like the treasure device or something like it is going to be that device, like, because we are heading to the point where people can't seem to get on the paper wallets. They need some kind of a other device. I mean, I've seen the Piper wallet printer. I think that might be another you know, middleman, another bridge that we might use for a little while. It also has a USB port on it, so you can put a USB stick on it, and then you push print, and it prints out your wallet, and it saves it on the USB as well. So then you can just put those into an envelope, just stick them in a closet after you put the Bitcoin on the public address there, and then that's it. Your money is saved. So it really seems like a lot of these people who have bought Bitcoin early, you probably, like, I hate to promote them when they won't even, you know, send me one, but you should probably buy a Piper wallet printer for $200. $200, or you should lose your $8,000 in Bitcoin. It seems kind of like a no-brainer decision, but that, again, I'm not being promoted by the company. I haven't even been sent a model yet, but I do think it's a very cool thing. So, what, Chris is laughing.
Hint. Send him a Piper wallet. Somebody just send the guy a Piper wallet.
It's $200. I feel like if I buy one and then I sell them 10 of them, like, I'm the real sucker, because, like, they're definitely going to sell out. Like, when we start promoting, if I say this is the way to print paper wallets, well, how many of those things do you have on stock? Because we're going to sell them out for you. And you're going to have to make new ones, hopefully without that remember forget switch. You need to remove the remember forget switch, have it auto copy to a USB stick if a USB stick's available, remove that network cable that you've added to the new version. No one wants that. No one wants the network cable on there. I would tape it over if I got one of those. But no, they're trying to sell it as a feature. You don't want this thing on the network. I don't want this thing ever attached to a computer. I wouldn't want Wi-Fi in it. I want it just to print paper wallets. And I've also heard that it goes out to the TV screen, and that's fascinating and stuff, but I don't need that either. Like, printing paper wallets, saving them on the USB, reduce the cost of the hardware. Like, take that extra stuff out. It's got to be cheaper somehow. So we should pull up their web pages, so we're going to talk about them the whole time.
So I'm
What's the name of that site that's the crowdfunding for Bitcoin? It's not Kickstarter. It's like that.
Well, there's a Bitcoin Starter, is a crowdfunder for Bitcoin. There's also StartJoin is a crowdfunder for Bitcoin, and there's also Coin Powers is a crowdfunder for Bitcoin, and they're all Max Kaiser, Adam B. Levine. They all have their own crowdfunding website.
I think Start Join is where that USB one I was talking about is on.
Did they have any support on there? Did you see, was anyone getting interested? Like,
Yeah, they're supposed to have them out. I think. I think they were well overfunded already.
that's very cool, because part of the problem with the Kickstarter type things, my roommate bought in for one for a thing, and it sounded really cool and technological, but it was supposed to ship in February, and now it's July, and the thing that he bought is just not getting any cooler as they don't ship it to him. So, can be rough. But here's the Piper Wallet webpage at piperwallet.com. You can buy one for $199, but they don't seem to want to like promote it or anything. So we'll see. It's been 3 days. We'll see if they answer my email yet. I'm not a business, but you know I answer emails better than 3 days. But my idea was to put one of these together with skyhook.com, which I've also emailed to, and they have a little itty bitty ATM. So what I would do is I would take the little bitty ATM to like a meeting somewhere, and I would take the little wallet printer and I would put it next to the ATM, and then I would give people like, well, I suppose dollars, but yeah, I'd give people dollars in Bitcoin. Maybe not that many people, maybe 10 people, but the first 10 people could get $1 in Bitcoin each on that paper wallet right there. We would just scan it in. What we really need is one of these things that takes coins, because everyone has coins and no one needs them. And we'd all be better off with Bitcoins instead of coins. It's kind of you just have to hook up one of those coin feeder things. And I know they jam all the time, and they're big and loud and noisy. You can't really carry them around. But still, coins into a Bitcoin ATM, or how about quarters? Like an insert coin, like a video game. You just put the insert coin thing, and it's a Bitcoin to quarters ATM, because people are all like, oh, I have to buy a whole Bitcoin. Well, you don't. You can just buy a quarter right here. You can just buy $1 worth. It's pretty neat.
I think there is something. It's not exactly a Bitcoin ATM. I forgot the name of it. I think it's called Silver Card. They have those like silver dimes, and they just took a vending machine, and then they made kind of like collector cards in a plastic sleeve, and they put a little silver coin with it, and then you can put coins and you can buy it. But they also made paper wallets. You know, it's laminated. I'd have to search YouTube to find.
I've seen some of those silver cards at the Bitcoin Not Bombs booth, and they have a little silver dime, and it tells you the value of the silver dime, and then you could buy it.
I mean, you could do a similar thing, and you could just call it art. You know what I mean? They'd have to trust that you don't have the private key. That's the same problem.
That's what's so nice. The Piper just prints it. I've also heard of machines that they're putting next to Lamassu Bitcoin ATMs, where it'll spit out a card, like a little plastic pre-made paper wallet card.
Well, that's cool.
A lot of those things are popular, and yeah, it's the way to go, because a lot of people don't have their own wallet to bring to these ATM machines, and no one wants to go through the RoboCoin system where you have to give them your palm print and your driver's license and your email and your text message, and then you have to come back in 15 minutes. That's crazy talk. Like, I could go to a bank if I want to be treated like that. So these bring your own wallet ATMs are great, but if you don't have your own wallet, then they're useless, and that's why I would be trying to get Piper and Skyhook together and to go on a big promotional tour to talk about them all the time, but they won't email me back. So
then you just got to make your own. Just get a Raspberry Pi and a printer, an inkjet, and a Raspberry Pi. Hook that up, and you got a Mad Wallets.
Mad Wallets. Well, I told Chris, I was like, I'll just print out paper wallets here and shove them in envelopes, and people will like trust me, and they'll pay me for that service, because they're apparently they're too lazy to make paper
Is that
wallets.
missing the point of Bitcoin? You're
Yeah,
totally missing the point of Bitcoin.
It's like some libertarian thing where you have
Man,
to.
are we ever going to learn? We've got to take responsibility for our own wealth and look after it ourselves independently. Like, this is why we got into this mess in the first place, outsourcing our wealth to other people to look after. As nice as Tom is, don't get me wrong, he's a top guy, and I trust him to the ends of the earth.
Well, and now it has no weight, and it's decentralized, so we can keep track of it on our own. It's, you know, if our house burns down, then we still have it, unless it's your private keys and you don't have them in a fireproof safe. But that would just be anti-pragmatic anyway. So I don't think anybody's going to get to that point.
You can encrypt your private keys with BIP38, and you can upload them to your Dropbox account. Like,
you can even hash your passwords.
Yeah. So it's you know. You don't need to give it to somebody else to do for you.
Yeah, but none of them are doing that. If they're not doing that, we're going to have to
So you have to educate people. You just have to give them the information, make it inspiring, make it engaging.
Let's see what Twitter says. Twitter says, cross the border with a Bitcoin brain wallet. Oh.
No, I don't like brain wallets. I'm not a big fan of brain wallets. Like, what if someone else chooses the same passphrase as you?
Well, I've heard a lot of talk that people think they're being all smart using a phrase from a book in a brain wallet.
No, that is not smart.
Yeah, it's way.
That's in all the rainbow tables. If it's in a book that's been written, then that'll be in a rainbow table and it'll get tried after a certain amount of time. Don't do that.
The way you've got to think about this is, what is the opportunity cost for somebody to sit there with a powerful computer just running through every possible permeation and just trying each sentence out of Ulysses until eventually they find some idiot who chose a line on page 184, and there it is. There are your Bitcoins. It's not a good idea. Nor are song titles either.
Yeah, you want to make it a big pain in the ass long word with all kinds of, characters swapped out for special characters and for numbers, and just make it something that you've never heard anybody else use, something that you created that isn't in any rainbow table as far as you know, and really, really try to make that happen.
Tropic. It's got to be surprising. Like, people should not be able to guess.
I like this word, rainbow table. It reminds me of rainbow parties, and that's something entirely different.
Rainbow table is nice. But if you're going to do a brain wallet and you have any kind of wireless LAN or cameras on your laptops, then don't forget to wear a metal hat while you're thinking about your brain wallet. It could be red. That's the next thing that's coming. So
you're gonna need that.
It's gonna be a brain wallet. Then do it the real way, and wear something metal on your head, silver, copper.
And I already bought up like hundreds of tons of tinfoil, so you guys are on your own because I've got that on lockdown. So you guys got to find something else that's convenient.
You're gonna have to call it aluminium. Aluminium,
yeah.
Nah, you guys can have that. You discovered it, so aluminum it is.
Very good. Well, I think we're about running out of time here on Bitcoin Talk Show. Is there anything else you guys want to talk to before we try to head out here?
Yeah, I'm giving a talk
on the auction.
Well, not everybody at the same time, but we'll go Chris first.
You go, Theo.
Yeah, all right.
Sorry, I was just saying, did you guys already talk about the guy that won the auction?
A little bit. We talked about him as a venture capitalist. He is working with Varoom, and they're going to try to increase the liquidity in the Bitcoin market. I'm not sure what that means, and I'm not sure what Varoom does either. But they were at the bowling tournament, so they must be cool, right?
So he's an investor. Varoom is an investor in like Skype and Hotmail, Tesla, Badu. This is a very successful venture firm. They seem to take a very thesis-driven approach to their investment. They have a belief, they back that belief, and they continue to invest even if the market turns against them. So I really like their attitude. They're real visionaries there. And the idea behind this investment is that Tim is then going to start front-loading businesses in developing countries to provide liquidity to those markets. So he's going to be a market maker, which means that he's going to encourage people to start trading. He's probably going to trade on his own books, which sometimes some people frown upon that. I think that it's a perfectly, as long as you do it properly and ethically, it's a perfectly good way to start building some traffic on an exchange, because there's no point in exchanging if there are only 2 or 3 people there. You're not going to get market discovery, so you're not going to get price discovery, okay? So that's what he's going to do. He's going to take these 30,000 Bitcoins and start circulating them around exchanges in developing countries so people can get a fair market price for their Bitcoins, so that merchants in these countries can get outside of their own nation states' currency laws, particularly if they're being devalued like they are in Argentina. So I think it's a really, really good idea. It couldn't have been a better result as far as I'm concerned, any short of giving them back to Ross. And actually, technically, the real criminals here are the feds. So Ross's money is actually with the feds right now. It's the dollars that they sold them for. So, yeah, I'm really...
Well, I don't want to call it Ross's money. I mean, we don't have any concrete empirical evidence that it's his, but yeah, it's the Silk Road money for sure. I just don't want to conflate those two.
That is correct.
It was the operational capital of the business. So this is, unfortunately, people who had their money in Silk Road as traders or as sellers and who left their money there, much like people left their money in Mt. Gox. If you leave your money in a strange place, you got to think of all these exchanges, all these different places as countertops. So you put your money on the countertop and you trade it for Litecoin. Then when you're done, you take your Litecoin away. If you leave your coin on the countertop, anyone who walks in, it's not that simple, but anyone who walks in can take your money. these exchanges, and if you have a huge pile of money on your countertop, like 20 or 30 bitcoins, that's too many. People can see it from far away over everyone else's little piles. They'll see my little pile.
They can see it in your windows, and they'll come in and get it in your house.
Yep, they'll look through the windows, and they'll see your pile of money. And they'll see it from far away because it's so tall. The taller the pile of money.
And then they'll make a plan to get it.
They will. It'll be like Ocean's 11. They'll have all these different guys working on it, and it'll see them all light and fun, but then they're not stealing from the casinos, they're stealing from you. And you might just be, a person with not a lot of money who, bought bitcoins a little early and was going to profit off it, but then some bad dudes took it and they're going to profit off it. So it's not.
I was just thinking that why doesn't he just give a few to the freeross.org or whatever it's called. I mean, if he's got 30,000, couldn't he just spare 10 or whatever? I mean, he's got 30,000. That's huge.
It would be a kind gesture.
He's the market maker of the charity fund.
And certainly the Free Rost Fund doesn't seem to have a lot of bitcoins. I'm sure a lot of people kind of think that, but we met her this weekend, and she's kind of giving every bitcoin they can get to the lawyer. And lawyer fees are very expensive, so if you do want to donate at freeross.org, they have a lot of great QR codes you can scan directly and donate some money to their defense fund for the defense.
Please do. They need a lot of help. This is going to be a landmark case, and they are not being treated according to the Magna Carta or almost any other measurement, no matter how ancient we have. It's not a good trial. They need help.
The U.S. Constitution, let alone the Magna Carta, like the Fifth Amendment, like it doesn't get bigger than that. This affects everyone.
Absolutely,
and even just the of course the whole context of it, and I think it's even just I don't think people have really thought about it. I mean, these things were just seeds. There's no court case. We don't know who they really belong to. They just took
liquidating before a verdict.
Yeah, before a verdict. There's no verdict. There's no nothing. And they do that all. It's not a new thing. They steal cars and yachts and.
And if somebody uses Craigslist as a gray market, because we would say that it's gray instead of black because there's good stuff that goes on there, and then there's maybe political crimes that are subjective, but nobody goes after the Craigslist website and they're like, this is your fault directly. You orchestrated this whole thing, and you're a kingpin. I mean, and that's what they're trying to do to Ross as a result of the Silk Road, and they don't even really have any proof.
eBay, Craigslist, these are common carriers. They're not held responsible for the actions of their users. So I'm sure legally I'm not sure. I'm sure there's probably a crime for setting up an open and free market, and that's its own crime. But being held responsible for your users as well is it's unheard of. You can't hold these companies responsible for your users. Who knows, like Hotmail, Gmail, all of these email accounts can be used for all kinds of nasty things. We have no idea.
The telephone can be used for malfeasance. Dollars and cash can be used for malfeasance. If that's the meter stick that we want to use going forward, it's not going to be a very good future.
Terrorists use mobile phones, but we don't start banning Verizon and telling them that they're responsible for what goes on over their network. This is a very dangerous precedent. Essentially, all the feds really want is they want a door that they can show up at. They want you to be fixed in location. They want to know the address so they can turn up at your house and blame it on someone. And the fact is the internet doesn't facilitate that kind of action. Okay, it allows for existence to emerge without a spatial reference. I know I keep saying it, but I have to keep banging on because people just aren't understanding the paradigm shift that we're currently going through. Things can now exist without needing to be in space. And they're just going to have to come to terms with that. They're going to have to actually go back to school and relearn how to understand this philosophy again.
You have to be polymathic. I mean, you have to go for mastery in all these different complex subjects. You have to be autodidactic and a self-directed learner that really has a hunger and a thirst for higher learning. And it doesn't have to be higher learning just because it looks complicated or because somebody else thinks that you should learn it. It has to be what you're interested in. Keep staying hungry, keep learning what you're interested in, and eventually it becomes full circle, and it comes full circle, and then you'll be able to have mastery in many subjects and be able to figure out, more robust ways out of this mess that we've gotten ourselves into as a result of people just refusing to do it.
Well said.
That's a good note to end on, and the thing I'm into now is paper wallets and getting you to use them. So I'm going to be working on that in the next couple of days. I'm working on uploading the second live Bitcoin group episode. Hopefully that'll be up within the next 20 minutes or so on the World Crypto Network account. Eventually,
Let's get Christoph on.
Bitcoin group as well on this show. Yeah, Christoph's welcome. And Christoph probably did Dark News yesterday, although I haven't checked it out yet. But he's probably getting back on schedule. Didn't get to it? Yeah, but everyone's trying to get back on schedule after the trip. We've all been traveling, and there's just a lot of video to import on my end. A lot of still I'm unpacking. Got all my piles of stuff here in the background. But hopefully we'll get back to a normal schedule of Mad Bitcoins next week. And we do have the Bitcoin group coming up on Friday, which we will be doing back from home again after 2 weeks on the road. So very exciting stuff. Check in with us there. Subscribe at WorldCryptoNetwork.com. And you send some Bitcoins to Liz, send some Bitcoins to Ross, and be generous if you've become wealthy. Just donate a little bit around. Certainly not your whole stack, but a little bit here and there helps out. So
nobody went poor by giving.
Yep.
Yeah, you know how much you can spend, and really people could try to be as generous as you can to people that have been so negatively affected by these predators in our community.
And if you still do have a pile of Bitcoins and they're all in Coinbase, well, it's time for you to print some paper wallets sooner than later. And you can send small amounts at first. You can break your Bitcoins up into piles. They don't have to all be in Coinbase. Even if you put half of them in blockchain and half of them in Coinbase, you've increased your odds of keeping your stack. Just right there. Even if you have
cold and hot. Yeah, there's cold and hot. When you have cold storage, which is what you're talking about, paper wallets, that's cold storage. Anytime you have more than about at least 5 to 10 Bitcoins, you need to put them into cold storage. The only thing that there is besides cold storage is hot storage. Coinbase is hot storage. Hot is referring to risk.
Split your hot storage up into multiple wallets, multiple passwords, multiple email accounts. Like, you can make it harder on these people to take your money, or you can make it easier. So
definitely,
you out there, Mr. 20 Bitcoins or whatever you got, you've got to look into your wallet and say, am I a target now? And maybe last year you weren't, but maybe this year you are. So change your habits when your investment goes up in value. Change your habits. So
and it will keep going up. So keep changing them.
I hope so, because I'm holding. Until next time. Bye bye.